What if I told you that the house Jesus grew up in had no bedrooms, no beds, no privacy, and sometimes animals slept just a few feet away from where the family lay? Not as a story, not as a metaphor, but as reality. A reality so simple, so raw, that it completely changes how we understand his teachings. Because when Jesus spoke about foundations, he wasn't speaking poetry. He was describing something people lived on every single day. Tonight, you are not just watching history. You are stepping inside it. Imagine walking through a narrow street in ancient Galilee. Dust rises softly beneath your feet. The sun is beginning to set, and the air carries the smell of earth, straw, and smoke. You arrive at a small stone house. From the outside, it looks ordinary. But the moment you step inside, you realize something unsettling. There are no rooms, no hallway, no kitchen, no bedroom, just one space. One space where everything happens. Cooking, sleeping, working, teaching, living. And at first glance, it feels almost uncomfortable. But to them, this was life. Look down. Beneath your feet is not marble, not wood, but earth. A floor made from packed soil, mixed with straw and lime. Hard, smooth, cold at dawn, but warm by evening. But here's what most people never realize. This floor was not flat. It slopes, just a few centimeters, but enough to change everything. Near the entrance, the ground dips slightly lower, and this is where the animals stay. Yes, at night, a goat or sheep would be brought inside the house, not out of convenience, but survival. Because as the night grew colder, their body heat would rise, warming the entire home. A natural heating system, built not with technology, but with necessity. And as strange as it sounds, this design kept families alive. Now imagine this. You are barefoot, walking carefully across this shared space. There are no walls to guide you, no signs, no separation. And yet, everything has its place. An invisible order. If a tool is left carelessly on the ground, someone could step on it, get injured, or worse. So discipline becomes survival. Every movement, intentional. Every object, accounted for. Even children learn this very early. Not through lectures, but through living. They watch their parents, carefully moving, placing, organizing. And slowly, they understand. This is not just a house. It is a system. And if you're starting to see history in a way you've never seen before, take a second to subscribe. Because what we're uncovering here is not the version of history most people are told. And it only gets deeper from here. Look at the walls. Thick, rough stone. But carved into them are small openings, niches. At first, they seem insignificant, but they are everything. Because this house has no furniture, no shelves, no cabinets. So the walls become storage. High niches hold the most valuable things. Coins, important scrolls, sacred writings. Out of reach, protected. Mid-level niches hold daily items. Lamps, bowls, knives, things used again and again. And near the floor, heavier objects, tools, baskets, extra jars, everything organized. Not by luxury, but by necessity. Now here's something modern minds struggle to understand. There is no privacy, no doors to close, no room to retreat into. So how did families live like this? The answer is not architecture. It is discipline, invisible boundaries, formed by tradition. Respect becomes the wall. Silence becomes the door. Children learn when to speak, when to move, when to stay still. Not because they are told, but because the space demands it. Privacy was not something you built. It was something you practiced. Morning begins, not with silence, but with movement. Before the sun fully rises, the house is already alive. A woman kneels on the floor. Her hands move rhythmically, pressing, folding, turning dough. Every motion, precise. Every gesture, learned through repetition. There is no table. Everything happens here, on the same earth floor where the family slept just hours ago. Nearby, a man sits low to the ground, tools scattered around him. Wood, shavings, fragments of work in progress. His hands are rough, but controlled. Each cut deliberate, each movement careful. Because in this space, one mistake could injure someone walking barefoot. And in the corner, a child watches. Quiet, observing everything. Not being taught, but learning. This house is not just a shelter. It is a classroom. There are no lessons written on walls, no formal instructions, no schedules. And yet, education is constant. A child learns where to step by watching where others step, learns what to touch by noticing what is never touched, learns silence by feeling when the room becomes still. Because here, mistakes are not theoretical. They are immediate. A misplaced tool, a broken jar, a careless step has consequences. So discipline is not forced. It is absorbed, slowly, naturally, inevitably. Look around the house again. You'll notice something striking. There's almost nothing here. No excess, no decoration, no waste. Just 4 essential things that define daily life. A woven mat, rolled out at night, rolled away at dawn. A simple object, but it is a bed, a seat, a place of rest. Then, large ceramic jars, heavy, silent, essential. Inside them, grain, oil, water, not just supplies, but security. Because an empty jar doesn't just mean hunger, it means danger. Then, an oil lamp, small, fragile, but without it, night becomes complete darkness. And finally, a brazier, a small source of fire used for cooking and warmth. Everything they need fits into this one room. Everything else is unnecessary. And if you're starting to realize how different life truly was compared to what we imagine today, subscribe. Because what we're uncovering is not just history. It's a completely different way of living, thinking, and surviving. As the sun disappears, the house transforms. The tools are gathered. The jars remain still. The lamp is lit. And slowly, the same space used for work becomes a place of rest. Mats are unrolled, one by one, across the floor. There are no bedrooms, no separation. The family sleeps together in the same shared space. Below, near the entrance, the animals settle in, their breathing slow, steady, filling the room with warmth. Above, the faint glow of the oil lamp flickers, casting shadows on the stone walls. And for a moment, everything is still. But the house doesn't end here. Step outside, climb the narrow staircase, leading upward. And suddenly, everything opens. The roof, flat, wide, exposed to the sky. During the day, this is where life continues. Food is spread out to dry. Tools are repaired. Work is done under the sun. But at night, especially during the hot seasons, this becomes the sleeping place. Under the stars, no ceiling, no walls, just sky. And in this space, something else happens. Work and spirituality begin to overlap. Because here, in the quiet, people pray, reflect, think. The same place used for labor becomes a place of connection with God. From the outside, all houses look the same. Stone walls, simple structure, flat roof. But inside, there are differences. Subtle, but critical. A slightly stronger roof means better protection from rain. Better stored grain means survival during scarcity. Stronger materials mean the house stands longer, but poorer families live on the edge. A single season of heavy rain can weaken the structure. Moisture seeps into the walls, the roof cracks, and slowly, the house begins to fail. Poverty here is not about appearance, it's about risk. These homes require constant maintenance. The roof must be checked, cracks repaired, mud reapplied. Because if water enters, it doesn't just drip, it destroys. The walls weaken, the structure shifts, and eventually, collapse becomes possible. So survival is not passive. It is active, every day. And if this has changed the way you see the ancient world, subscribe now, because the final part of this story is where everything connects, in a way most people never realize. Now, think about this. When Jesus spoke about a house built on rock and another built on sand, he wasn't speaking in abstraction. He was speaking to people who understood exactly what that meant. They had seen walls crack, roofs collapse,